we should be good to go. All right, well, we're right inside this macro right now. Let's go zoom out a little bit and take a peek at some things. For those of you guys that paid attention to the market yesterday, and obviously based on yesterday's trading, our first initial attempts in the morning were to get long, and we were attempting to shoot for this high. And if you guys remember, it was pretty choppy conditions. Ended up taking 2 losses in the AM session, and then flipped for PM session and saw this market structure shift. This is the 15-minute time frame, but this was a market structure shift on all these lower time frames, 5 and below, and wanted to see a run lower since we were struggling to see any bullishness. So that's why we went short in the PM session. Anyway, late PM session at the very end of the day in the last macro, we went up and actually hit that bullish target that we had. So that's all taken out now, and let's see here. As we go up here in time frame, guys, to like the 4-hour, I mean, this 4-hour candle is really going to be obviously the deciding factor whether or not we end up continuing bullishness up to this weekly liquidity void, or if we go put in yet another lower low, which to me would bring us to here. So obviously we're gonna have to wait for this 4-hour candle, this next 4-hour candle, to see what it does, but we're gonna try to trade within it based on the way that this 4-hour candle is closing here in 4 minutes. To me, it looks like if we go back down here to the smaller time frames, we're actually holding these gaps, and to me it looks like we're willing to head lower finally for these targets from yesterday potentially. So that's kind of what I have my eye on here as we drop back down here to like the 5-minute time frame and just marking out some stuff that had just happened. So obviously this was right before the macro, but we've got basically this run on liquidity right here, followed by a market structure shift on 5-minute, all the way down. And then we've got obviously displacement right in here. So I'd like to see if we can make this our silver bullet potentially here in the next few minutes. I'd like to let this really draw back into here and take it inside of a premium. So if we range this up from high to low, I'd like at very least for us to be up in here in order to take a trade. The only problem with this setup right now is if we were to enter here, let's just say that's a 6.5 point stop to the high. So if you take that entry, I would recommend lowering your lot size just a touch. But obviously that's going to be up to you guys. But yeah, right now I'm sensing bearishness. Even again, as I scale down here, that's what we've got so far, right? We've got a run on buy side with energetic displacement, market structure shift down, with a lot of sell side to target. And then the last thing that we can mark out here in these regular trading hours, and I'll delete some of these gaps. We don't need all these gaps on here anymore, but we can keep this one. That'll be a potential area of profit taking for us. But here is our opening range gap that's been filled in now, and let's go ahead and all right, so this is our opening range gap high. I'll let some people in. So here's our opening range gap high. We'll mark this out. And then what we'll do is we'll bring this bad boy down over here. Then we've got our opening range gap low, which is currently being respected right now. But yeah, it's going to be more so another neutral day, I would say, in the terms of like, we're going to play the old Happy Gilmore quote, play it as it lies. I mean, that's what we have to do, right? But we've got buy side taken out most recently. And based on the way that this 4-hour candle just closed, if I go back here to electronic trading hours and refresh this, we've got mean threshold of this 4-hour order block. Meanwhile, this is a 15-minute fair value gap that we just have begun bouncing from. So my initial bias as of this moment is bearish. I want to measure this out. We got 9 a.m. coming here very soon, guys. So yeah, 6 1/4. That bites a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna plan to get short. Maybe right at this opening range gap high. And then, yeah, we'll look to target all these lower lows. You guys can see that this is 11 handles all the way down to here. Even targeting this recent low is 8 3/4. So here's what I'm going to do, guys. I'm going to do one contract initially. 24 ticks. But what I'm going to do is if we pull up deeper into here, I'm going to add on my second contract. I don't want both contracts entered here at a six handle stop. So if we pull up deeper into this gap and maybe close the rest of it, I'll add my second contract on up here. Because this is very light risk still for me, even with just one contract. So that's how I'm gonna play this. And then, yeah, in all reality, we could target all these short-term lows. And I would say a longer-term target would be the lows from yesterday that we were shooting for in PM session. Waiting for this entry was, you know, the reason I'm doing that is because I'm waiting for the highest confluence area, which was still a 6 handle stop, which is bigger than our normal stop loss. But once we tapped up into this premium area, this was obviously a valid setup from this point forward. Yeah, it bites because it did exactly what I wanted it to, and that was this is the trade I wanted, and we would be, you know what I'm saying? But it also doesn't suck because it's like it didn't give me exactly what I wanted, you know? So you could mark that up to being stingy, but what are you gonna do, right? I was already compromising a little bit by going one contract here and then entering another one later on if we got a little bit of heat and drawdown on us, but you know, nothing to do there. I'm not gonna chase the trade either. What I don't wanna do is, you know, there's no news today, right? So there's no news today. I'm not really necessarily expecting a big range. If we get one, we get one. If we I'm not expecting one, right? So it wouldn't make sense for me, in my eyes, to, you know, like enter here short and go and keep it going down. I mean, could it happen? Yes. But to me, it doesn't make sense. You know, because truthfully, I mean, nothing would surprise me at this point. We've kind of been in the same middle ground area on a higher time frame, you know, yesterday and today, which is why we were a little bit ambiguous yesterday, trying to shoot for the highs in AM session, then trying to shoot for the lows in PM session. And that was all from looking at, you know, the 15 and down. And obviously we're holding this 1 hour fair value gap, and that 4 hour candle closed bearish, and now this one is so far has been bearish. Oh, it actually closed bullish, but it closed as a doji. I missed the last 2 minutes, I guess, where it closed bullish. But yeah, nothing truthfully would surprise me. Like, it wouldn't surprise me either to see, you know, this come down 50%. It's already been tapped into of this wick. That 15-minute fair value gap, that breaker that's down here, and then to see this thing just leave a 4 hour wick and then just start heading higher. That wouldn't surprise me in the least, truthfully. So as well, let's consider the opening range. So this is the opening range high up here. And then this was that opening range low that did get taken out the first 30 minutes of market open. So I put more bearing personally as far as liquidity levels. I put more bearing on this liquidity than this liquidity. Right? And ICT says the same thing. The liquidity levels that are swept during actual regular trading hours that have to do with, you know, New York, London a little bit more so, right? But definitely New York. New York session levels of liquidity are going to be more prominent than overnight session levels of liquidity like Asia. Those will get taken out regardless. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't. I realized as I thought that back in my head, that kind of did sound confusing. Yeah, here we go. So now we're seeing displacement back up after running that opening range low. Displacing back above here, market structure shifts. So let's run it back, y'all. One tick into the gap. Stop below the low, 3 1/4. I could probably get three contracts on this one, probably. Yeah, 13 handles. Yep. Still under 0.5%. I do 1 tick into the fair value gap, Kitch, because the whole point is we're expecting the redelivery into the gap. So this isn't actually redelivering to the gap right here, right? This is just redelivering to this candle's low. Actually entering the gap would be at least 1 tick in, right? So that's why I do 1 tick into the gap. Unless it's like a ginormous gap, then, you know, I might not. If it's a ginormous gap, then I won't. Because then maybe I'll have to line it up with something else. I'll have to kind of like what we saw here. Which now we got this entire 2-minute gap. As price is continuing to give us more data, I might have to change everything I just said. So now we've got like a 3 3/4. That's 15 ticks. Ooh, that's close. In the event that there's no reaction here lower or no reaction here lower from the high, and we displace through, in that event, it's all good because this has all been covered. This is all efficient. The only inefficiency was left down here. Isn't it amazing how like sometimes it's not even the losing trades that mess with you the most, it's the winners, because greed and fear are the worst characteristics that you can be trading with ever, right? And sometimes when you see a trade that even if you took it and you got out at 5 or 10 or 15 handles, whatever, and it goes 40 points, sometimes that hurts people more than taking a loser, because they think that you know, they should have caught all 40 of that, and it could have been a 1 to whatever, could have been a 1 to 8. I would have made X%. I would have passed my funded. I would have XYZ, right? But that's not realistic. We got SMT forming here with these two. So actually what I'll do, guys, because of the SMT, get the magnet out of here. Nah, I'm gonna go here. Perfect. We can frame 10 out of this. Lined up right here. So yeah, I'll get short right here. $11 ticks. Pretty tight stop. Even with 3 contracts, that would be under 0.5%. Inside of this gap. We're in the gap now, but I'd like to see this. And if I miss it, I truly don't care. Oh well, just missed my entry. One tick above, no, thank you. All right, guys, so yeah, I'm in. I'm risking 0.5% or so on this trade, a little less. In the market maker's hands. But yeah, because of the SMT as well played a role. So just to annotate the SMT we have, we got a high here. Or I'm sorry, higher high here. NQ had a lower high. The reason I don't want my stop above here is because this high ran out this high. This is high resistance liquidity. And truthfully, if we head here, if we're heading higher, that's the draw, right? So I'm not gonna add on risk for no reason. Once we take out these lows, I'm removing risk as well. Let's go, tank. Get the hell out of here. Come here, Cinnamon. Thank you. All right, I'm gonna remove risk, guys. Magnet strategy's working. What I put TP at 50.25. Yeah, that's TP1. But truth be told, I'm not willing to take a loss at this point. We just took this low. I mean, knowing I'm still pretty bullish on like the 1 hour, I'm not trying to, you know. I mean, if I get stopped here, I break even, and then we rip lower. But yeah, I ain't gonna keep risk on and end up having to take a loss after all this. Fuck that. Hook us up, Corey. Call it in. Airstrike. All right, guys, I'm out. Break even day. Removed risk here. Moving up. I guess I'll wait and see what PM session brings. So, stupid magnet. Stupid dog. But yeah, I wasn't willing to keep risk on anymore for this trade. So, all right. Well, that sucks. And hopefully this doesn't tank without us, because if it does, fuck you. But, all right. I'll talk to you guys for PM session and in the Discord. Have a great Tuesday. And, yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon.